the video lesson for 8.10c. Your objective today is explain the effect of translations, reflections over the x or y axis, and rotations limited to 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and 360 degrees as applied to two-dimensional shapes on a coordinate plane using an algebraic representation. So, let's talk about what that means. We're only dealing with three types of transformations. We're going to be talking about the effect, and you have to be able to explain it using an algebraic representation. So that means we're not going to be telling each other what is the new point. We're going to be deciding what happened to the x coordinate and what happened to the y coordinate. So I'm going to put that down as a piece of notes here. What happened? Okay, that's what today is all about. What happened to the x and what happened to the y. And our three types of transformations that we're dealing with today are translations, reflections, and they specify that it's over either the x-axis or the y-axis, and rotations. You don't need to worry about all this stuff, the limited to blah, 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 blah. Okay? You just need to know, how can I explain what happened to the x and the y if an image is translated, reflected, or rotated? Nothing with dilations today. So let's look at number 2. Okay. Number 2 says the coordinate plane below shows triangle ABC and its translation A prime, B prime, C prime. So here's ABC and here's A prime, B prime, C prime. So if we want to, if it's hard for you to tell which is which, you can put this as the old and this as the new. And just label them. So we're going from this to this. And we're asking ourselves, which of these rules best describes the translation? So what happened to the x and what happened to the y value? So the first thing we need to do is make ourselves a table. So I'm going to make a table here that says the old figure and the new figure. And we have A, B, and C. Okay. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now we need to talk about what are the coordinates of these points. So on the old figure, A is -2, 1. So -2, 1. On the new figure, it's 2, -1. So 2, -1. So let's stop here just for a second before we look at B and C. The x value, what happened to get from -2 to 2? Well, to go from -2 to 2, I have to move to the right 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So this would be x plus 4. The original x plus 4, -2 plus 4 is +2. Here, for my y value, 1, to get to -1, I have to go down 1, 2. So y minus 2, because I'm going down 2. And if I start with 1, 1 minus 2 is -1. All right, now let's look at the next set of points. Let's say B is at 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, so 1, 4. And then b prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 2, so 5, 2. Again, let's figure out what we did to our x's. From 1 to 5, I have to add 4, so that's x plus 4 gives me 5, and then 4 minus 2 gives me 2, so y minus 2. This is my y value. Minus 2 gives me the new y value. And then our last pair of points is c. So c is 2, 2. C prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0. So 6, 0. Let's ask ourselves, what did we do to the x values? 2 to get 6, we added 4, so x plus 4. And then to get from 2 to 0, we subtract 2, so y minus 2. So notice that we're doing the same thing each time. X plus 4, y minus 2. And that's what's happening. That is our algebraic representation of what's happening in this problem. So it's not asking us for the new points. It was helpful for us to figure those out, but all it's asking us is, what am I doing to x? Well, I'm adding 4. And what am I doing to y? I'm subtracting 2. So that gives me, let's see, x plus 4, y minus 2 is j. So now I'd like you to take just a couple of minutes and look at number 3 and number 7. Number 3 and number 7. Now feel free to draw a picture in your blank space if you'd like to do that, or you can just look at the numbers. So on number 3, for example, it doesn't tell you anything about A, C, or D. It only talks about B and then B prime. So you're just having to figure it out from one point, which makes it easier. So you're doing 3 and 7. Then please bring me your paper for a stamp on both of those, and then you'll be able to continue with the rest of the video. So please pause now. Number 4 says, triangle ABC is reflected over the y-axis. So let's pause there. Over here, let's draw a picture. And of course, we need to label the x and y axis. So this is x, this is y. Very important that we understand that. So if point A is at -3, -1, that means it's going to be left and down, so we're just going to put it here. This is point A, and I know that's not exact, but we're just trying to figure out what quadrant it's in. And if we're going to reflect it over the y-axis, then the y-axis is our mirror line. So this is the mirror right here, the y-axis. So that's our mirror. It's going to end up on the other side of the y-axis, and that gives us A prime. So let's come up with a rule for reflections that we can use anytime we have a reflection problem. I'm going to write my notes over here, but I would recommend that you write your notes on the page that you're going to be gluing this assignment into. So just draw it, write it down at the very bottom or the very far right side so that you don't cover it up when you're gluing in your paper. So here are the notes for reflections. Reflections, yay, okay. So if we're reflecting over the y-axis, then that means, that's what we did here, we reflected over the y-axis, then our y stays the same, and x becomes negative, or the opposite, actually. So in this case, we reflected over the y-axis, So my y is going to stay the same. So -1 stays the same. So I can go ahead and cross out these two answer choices because it needs to be -1. And my x is going to be the opposite because instead of being -3 over here, I'm going to the right and it's going to be +3. So +3, -1 would be our answer there. Because y stayed the same and x became the opposite. -3 became 3. However, if we're reflecting over the x-axis, then x stays the same and y becomes the opposite. So if you just remember those things, then you'll never have to really think about it. You can still draw it. It's still a good idea to draw. And we see that our y, our up and down, is staying the same, and our x is flip-flopping to the other number. So -3 becomes +3. So drawing it is a really good idea. I'd like for you now to do number 6, number 9, and number 5. Number 6, number 9, and number 5. So you're going to look at number 6, and you'll see that it's very similar to number 4 and number 2 kind of combined. So don't overthink it. And then I'd like for you to do number 9 and number 5. So number 9, you're finding the new coordinates for P. And then on number 5, we're reflecting it. And you need to give an algebraic representation. So what happens to x and what happens to the y for this point when it becomes A prime. When you finish that, then you can bring me your paper to get 3 stamps for number 6, number 9, and number 5, and then you can continue the video. So please pause now. Let's jump over to number 8 for a minute and do number 8 together. Trapezoid ABCD is translated, or slid, we're going to slide it, to form trapezoid A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. What is the algebraic representation that shows the translation? So, remember, algebraic representation means what happened to x and what happened to y. That's all it means. So let's look at this and see. Let's start with A and go to A prime. So this is our old figure and this is our new figure. So to get to A, figure out what happened to x, that's our left and right. Okay, so we're going to go from here to here. So from +2 to -2, that means it's going to be x minus 4. That's what happened to x. But let's test that and see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. Hold on. See, it's a good thing I tested this. From 3 to -2, it's actually x minus 5. I could have easily missed that. I'm so glad we tested it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets us to -2. So x minus 5, that's what's happening to x. For y, that's our up and down, because this is our y-axis, so it's up and down. So I'm going from A to A prime. So from y equals 6 down to y equals -4. So that means I'm subtracting 10. Y minus 10. But again, let's double check that. So I want to get down to here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to 0. 7, 8, 9, 10 gets us here. So y minus 10. So our answer then would be, again, we have to write it as a coordinate, x and then y. So x minus 5, that's our x coordinate, and y minus 10 is our y coordinate. So this is the algebraic representation. Now please take a minute and pause the video, and you're going to do number 1, which we had skipped over on the left side, on your own. So that triangle will be translated, and you need to give us the new coordinates for P, Q, and R. Please pause the video now. When you've completed it, you can bring it to me for a stamp. Okay, our last question is number 10, and this is a little bit of a different question. It's going to ask you to do a rotation, and so I want to look at this with you and make sure that we understand how to do a rotation. So a right triangle with coordinates A, B, and C is rotated 100 degrees about the vertex, and I think what that should say is about the right angle vertex. So that means that's where we're going to like hold it down and spin it. And then it's translated using the rule x plus 3, y plus 1. Show this transformation on the coordinate plane provided and label the new figure A prime, B prime, C prime. So there's a lot to do here. Luckily, you won't have to do this on the STAR test where you have to draw pictures, but you may have to draw pictures on your unit test coming up here next week. So let's go ahead and start by just plotting these points. Anytime we have a kind of a drawn out problem like this, the easiest thing is just to say, well, what do I know how to do? And start by doing that. So A is 2, 8. So 2, and then up 8. That's A. Then 2, 2. 2, 2 is B. And then 8, 2. So 8, 2 is C. So here is the right triangle. And this is our right angle. So really I should label B over here. ABC. It's rotated 180 degrees. So if I hold it down here and I spin the rest of it, then I'm going to turn it a half circle. So this is my number 1, my figure number 1. I'm going to use a different color here to show that rotation. So that means that B is going to stay in the same place. So this is still B. But then if I spin it a half circle, then A is going to end up down here. Whoops, I'm sorry. That was not good. A is going to end up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down from B. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is our A. And then C is going to end up over here. So that has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away from B. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away from B. So here's C. So this is after the rotation. And if you look at this here, and that's still a right angle, we can see that it was just held down right here, and then everything spun. So there's our rotation figure. So this is figure number 2. And then it's going to be translated. So now let's translate it. X plus 3. So that means I'm going to move to the right 3. So x plus 3 means right 3. And then y plus 1 means up 1. And I know that x means right because x has to go left or right. And it's plus 3, so it's going to go to the right. And y is my up and down. And up 1 would be positive 1, or plus 1. So, right 3, so I'm going to start right here. Go 1, 2, 3, up 1. And here we have B prime. Okay, let's do the same with A. Right 3, 1, 2, 3, and up 1. We have A prime. And then C, right 3, up 1, C prime. So this is the new figure. And we've labeled it A prime, B prime, C prime. So I know this looks kind of messy, And it had a lot of steps to it, but really all we were doing is dissecting it. First, we had to draw it, then we had to rotate it, and that's the green figure, and then we had to translate it. Write 3F1, and that's the blue figure. So when you have finished this and you have all of your stamps, please bring your paper to me so that I can get your grade in the gradebook. Remember, this one wasn't complete when you brought me your last problem to do, when you brought me number 1. And so I don't have a grade in the gradebook for you right now. Right now it's a 0 if I don't get it today. So go ahead and bring it to me so that I can put the grade in the gradebook, and then you will be done. Thank you.